Good evening, Bharat. More than 6,000 cases, the highest number of cases reported in the last 24 hours in a single day. But there is a reason why this is happening, because we are opening up. And as our Shramiks are returning home, there will be a lot many more cases because we are also testing more than 1 lakh tests per day. So clearly, we will have a spike in the number of cases. But here is the reason why we don't need to be alarmed. Health Ministry earlier in the day said that had we not gone into lockdown in time, we would have seen more than 20 lakh cases till date. We are seeing just above a lakh of cases. And we would have seen close to 10 to 15 lakh deaths. We are seeing less than 5,000 deaths. It's a big number. 7,000 deaths, beg your pardon. Now, but it's a big number, and that is the reason why we need to be proud of ourselves and how we have conducted ourselves throughout this period of the lockdown. 3,235 patients have been cured in the last 24 hours, 48,534 total COVID-19 patients cured till now. 40.97% is the recovery rate, up from 40.32% yesterday. 1.03 lakh tests conducted in the last 24 hours. 27.19 lakh tests that have been conducted till date. 2091 is the testing rate per million of the population, which is up from 2012 yesterday. So it's going up. We're testing more. 3.02%. So the mortality rate is actually down from 3.06% yesterday. 5.5% is the growth in terms of the new cases, growth rate of new cases. 13.3 days is the doubling rate. Now, the doubling rate was about 3.4 days when the lockdown had started, but clearly at that time the number of cases were also low. But if you're looking at a doubling rate of 13.3 days, so within the next 15 days, we should be at 2 lakh plus cases. That is a cause for concern, India. But the fact is that this is a reality that we have to embrace. COVID-19 is here to stay. We will have more and more cases, but let us also keep in mind the recovery rate, which is close to 41% now. So 41 out of every 100 patients which is recovering. So that's our recovery rates and the total number of cases also. So the total number of active cases even now is less than 70,000 across the country. Let's take a look at some of the reasons why we need to still be positive and be cheerful. Maharashtra government has allowed the home delivery of liquor in Mumbai, except in containment zones, as increasingly bootlegging was rampant, and close to 18 crores worth of illegal liquor, illicit liquor, has been already been seized by the authorities. So liquor shops have been given permission to use e-commerce platforms to deliver alcohol. So at least you can stay in high spirits even when it's a little gloomy around Mumbai with 25,000 cases. Members of the entertainment industry met with Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray to discuss the way forward. They urged the Chief Minister to allow them to resume shoots in areas which have been marked as green zones. The meeting was spearheaded by heads of Viacom 18, Star, Zee and Balaji Telefilm. So let's try and get the content generation part going on, especially as far as television and OTT platforms are concerned, even if cinema shoots have to be controlled or movie shoots have to be controlled. Now, schools in Sikkim would reopen from the 15th of June, but there is a rider. Schools will remain shut for students from kindergarten to class 8. As they are more vulnerable to contracting the infection, there will be no morning assembly to uphold the social distancing norms. And Dr. Harshvardhan has now taken charge as the chairman of the WHO Executive Board. He is succeeding Dr. Hiroki Nakatani from Japan. Dr. Harshvardhan's elevation to the Executive Board came after a resolution was passed by 194 nations at the World Health Assembly. And the RBI has further dropped the repo rates by 40 basis points to 4%, while the reverse repo rate was also reduced simultaneously to 3.35%. So this is good news for borrowers, but if you've got fixed deposits, then you're not going to earn much on your fixed deposits. It will reduce the interest rate on deposits. Now tonight, the subject matter this Friday evening is part of what the Prime Minister's vision is for our country, that is Atmanirbhar Bharat, and what our campaign here on News 18 and Network 18 is of Swabhiman Bharat. 7 steps. What are the 7 key steps that we need to take going forward from here? Because it is in our hands. The future is in our hands. Where we go from here is upon us as a nation. We have a very, very august panel joining us this evening. Rajiv Chandrasekhar, BJP leader and tech entrepreneur with us. He's also MP in Parliament. Now we have R.S. Sodhi, who's the MD of Amul. I had the pleasure of interacting with Sodhi Saab this Sunday. We'll speak more now. Mohandas Pai, Chairman, RN Capital. Always a pleasure to have you with us, Mr. Pai. Deepak Singhal, former Chief Secretary of Uttar Pradesh. With him we have discussed at length as far as thinking at the block level. Can we look at clusters and blocks and can we develop them and try and have smaller economies, local economies, which will help the overall economy of the country and allow us truly to go from local to global. And Dr. Vivek Bindra, who is the founder and CEO of BadaBusiness.com Private Limited. So I'm going to go to everybody one by one and then we'll try and circle back and have a give and go in terms of what can be done. At the end of the show, at the end of the next 35 minutes, the endeavor is to come down to 7 key points spanning across cross sections, what we need to do as a nation together. And we have a diverse cross section of voices, August voices tonight, just so that we can get multiple perspectives. I would like to start with R.S. Sodhi, MD Amul, then I'll also bring in, and we'll go to all our guests one by one. And this is no particular order that I have got. I'm just looking at the names and I'm going across. So, Sodhi Saab, first let me start with you. Because you represent the cooperative side. You represent an industry which came from nothing and it has become something in one part of the country. It's also become a movement. But going forward, what are the 7 key steps we need to take so that we become Swabhimani, we become Atmanirbhar?
Well, Anandji, no doubt our Honorable Prime Minister said that we have to become Atmanirbhar, and then he said vocal for local and local for global. Firstly, I think we Indians should have confidence and trust that we can become Atmanirbhar. You see, people think, and people laugh also, unbelievable, that how can we become Atmanirbhar in energy, in minerals, electrical, electronics, even edible oil, where billions of dollars of all these products are imported every year. But let me tell you I'll give you one example. Say, if I take you back to mid-70s, in India, same situation was in milk. We were a milk deficient country, our population was growing, and we were importing in more and more quantity like we are doing presently edible. I'm talking about food. We were producing only 21 million ton. We were 1/3 of USA and 1/8 of Europe total production. And what is today? We have multiplied our production 9 times. We are double than USA and we are 25% more than the Europe. And why it happened? Because farmers, policymakers, and political leadership decided that we have to become self-reliant in milk because our population is growing, and if we don't produce locally, our food security will be in danger. So that time, already because Government of India has a well-tested model of Amul in Gujarat, so what was decided, let us replicate all over India. So National Dairy Development Board was formed to replicate it, and you know what is the today position. So what I want is we should have trust that we can do it. And if we don't do it by 2050, we are 1.7 billion. I mean, we are the world's largest market and fastest growing market. And we have all the skills. And we are world's biggest, most successful, very democratic elected political leadership, which is very stable. So why we can't do it? Now coming to how we can do it. You see, what Prime Minister said, vocal for local and local for global. You see, you can't become a global brand unless you are market leader locally and domestically. And let me tell you, no consumer will buy your brand just by saying your nationality or you wrap it in the our tricolor or say I'm Indian and buy me. No. Consumer buy any brand because of its quality and the technology and its affordability. You see what has happened in our consumer durable or in electronics. Why we are not, food we are more than 50%. More than 50% brands, market share is the local brand. And if you take back 35, 40 years, but all global brands are the market leader. But what is required is first Indian brands have to match the quality, technology, and affordability. Once you become domestic market leader, then you can aspire to be global leader. And global leader, if you become, you see, please let me tell you, if a brand is a global leader, you not only get the, royalties, R&D. Biggest asset of any brand is the brand valuation. Anywhere you are produced in the world, whether Switzerland, Europe, anywhere, in India, you'll get royalty, you'll get R&D, and you'll get the billions and trillion dollars of brand appreciation. Why all multinational in India? They are produced in India, they are made by Indian, but where money is going, all R&D, all royalties, all brand appreciation is abroad. So that is what our Honorable Prime Minister is saying. We should have this trust and confidence that we can do it.
Well, not just the trust and confidence, but there is also a certain level of effort in trying to define who we are as Bharat. What does brand Bharat stand for? And when we say brand Bharat, it's not just the country. We as individuals make the country, Mohandas Pai. So we have to say, how will we define ourselves as Bharatiya or as Indians? And how do we want the world to see us? It has to start from there.
Look, whatever we talk about ourselves, you say, Mera Bharat Mahan, our per capita income is only $2,000, all right? We have to increase it to $10,000 for the next 10, 12 years. For that, what should we do? One, we must promote labor-intensive industries. We got good policies for capital-intensive industries, not labor-intensive industries. If I want to set up a garment manufacturing unit creating 50,000 jobs, everybody is out to be the labor inspector, government, nobody helps me out. So we have lost the labor-intensive industries. We must promote it in Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, because in this area there is labor surplus. The south doesn't have labor. Second, must promote urbanization. India today is 35% urban. Tamil Nadu is about nearly 50% urban. The world is 52% urban. And China is 59% urban. No society has succeeded unless urbanization. It doesn't mean the big cities. We must invest in the 6,000 census towns, small towns. So people from villages can go to the small towns where there'll be labor-intensive industries and get some good wages, and those areas will develop with good infrastructure. The third, we must develop human capital. Our people don't have skills. Skill development is lagging behind. Yes, a lot has been done. Our gross enrollment rate for college is only 26%, and West Bengal is 19%, and Bihar is 13%. It is horrible. Bihar per capita income is 49,000 rupees. India is 1,49,000 rupees. Bihar's urbanization is 11%, and Bihar's GER, gross enrollment is 13%. So we have to develop skills. We have to develop education. So people will get educated, and fertility will come down. Bihar's fertility is 3.4. The whole of the south is 3.8. Then need governance. Improve governance because we have to make sure that people don't have to pay bribes. We don't want government to be having too much of regulations and cut regulations. And next, we must create value addition in agriculture. Now, in this policy, Essential Commodities Act has been amended, which is very good. Farmers can sell everywhere. It's very good. I think we need 1,000 agri-tech companies to connect farmers to markets. Because if farmers get better prices, then the money goes to them and they will develop, and the rural areas will come up very well. And then we have to improve in infrastructure, both physical and tech. Just see, when we are shut down, the tech infrastructure has helped everybody. DBT, bank accounts, reaching out to people is tremendous. And we need roads. We have to spend hugely on infrastructure. India needs to spend 6.4% of GDP as infrastructure. We're spending 4.5. China needs 6.7. They're spending 8.9. And then lastly, we have to create an export orientation because we will be surplus in agriculture. So we have to export. And we have to create the port and other facility to export. Because to grow, internal demand will not come up. We have to do that. And what Prime Minister has done, land, labor, liquidity, governance reform, is all towards creating a vibrant industrial and knowledge economy in India where the poorest of the poor will be able to get a job. For this, we have to do all these things and do it properly. And like I said earlier, look at a big city like Bangalore. We don't have a full-time mayor. Look at Bombay. The COVID should be managed by the mayor of Bombay, like the mayor of New York is doing. The chief minister is trying to do that. The big cities cannot be governed by mayors. What kind of governance is that? And look at the land issues in Mumbai. Because of the mafia there, there is Dharavi has 8.5 lakh people in about 2.5 kilometers of land. So it is a miserable thing. So we must reform land. The cities give power to the mayors. You do all this in 10 years' time. I'm sure India will be close to 10, 12, 10, 11 trillion dollars.
True. So what you're saying is that if you're looking at a 5 trillion economy, you're saying let's think about a $10 trillion economy and a nation at that size. And if you want to get to that size, we have to ensure that we start doing little things and getting things right today. Urban planning. Who manages these townships, the big townships?
Look,
and you are the second person, perhaps, in this panel who's very actively spoken about the 6,000 blocks or 6,600 blocks and thinking at the block level. Deepak Singhal is the other person, and I know we've discussed this. Yes, Mr. Pai, please, you wanted to make an intervention.
No, look, our biggest challenge is jobs. Look at the poor migrant. A migrant comes from UP or Bihar, there are no jobs, comes to Mumbai, stays in the slum, sleeps in the street, get 15,000 rupees, sends 7,000 rupees to his family. He has no savings, he's exploited. Look what happens to them. It's a miserable life. Why can't we create those labor-intensive industries in UP itself, in the small towns? Why can't we create flathead factories and get work to be done here? Why should garment units be there in Mumbai? Why should the slums of Dharavi be vibrant units where labor is exploited? Why can't those kind of industries require labor be somewhere in the areas connected to Mumbai by high-speed roads? We need connectivity. They all came there earlier because the old model was only the big cities gave jobs. There was no investment in small cities. Invest in the small cities. For 6,000 census towns, invest about 20 crores a year for the next 5 years. 10 crores from the state government, 10 crores from the center, 60,000 crores. And you will transform India. Because urbanization creates concentration of human activity, concentration creates specialization, specialization creates productivity, and productivity gives you higher wages. That's a mantra, like APJ Abdul Kalam would say. And you follow this mantra, India will prosper. The land is, today the agriculture occupies 43% of people. And the per capita income in agriculture for India is 55,000 rupees. Services is 2,10,000 rupees. Industry is 1,55,000. Land cannot support 43%. They have to move. Where will they move? They must move into labor-intensive industries close to the villages. So develop these small towns and you'll see a very different India.
Very rightly said, and I think one of the steps that is happening, I was just reading Smriti Irani's tweet a while ago where she says, because she's also the MP of Amethi, and she says that in Manrega, under the Manrega scheme, around 2,100 ponds are now being built and they're being constructed in and around the Amethi region as a part of the Jal Jeevan or the Jal Shakti mission, where work is being given so that we create natural reservoirs so that we can up our groundwater levels itself. So this is to try and keep those who are heading back to get them some way to A, keep them busy, B, give them a chance to earn their livelihood, and use the Manrega funds which are being diverted to create a certain level of man-days which can be done. So I'm going to bring in Deepak Singhal on that note and then bring you Dr. Bindra towards the end and then circle back to Mr. Sodhi. So Deepak Singhal ji, Mohandas Pai has also said something which you have said, and you are doing an experiment in Mathura, I'm given to understand. 6,600 blocks, try and develop them as townships. What Mr. Mohandas Pai says is over the horizon of the next 8 or 10 years, try and invest regularly year after year to develop each of these blocks into sustainable economies on their own, so that you don't have this migration, you don't have people coming across from various states concentrated over a few urban destinations, and then you have this reverse process happening if you have a situation like COVID-19 and a lockdown.
Anand, I'll just flag 2-3 issues. First, you started off when you said that we are definitely better than other parts of the world. लेकिन मेरे सबसे बड़ी चिंता ये है मेरे दिमाग में आनंद कि जो रूरल एरिया में फैलना शुरू हो गया अब ये जो माइग्रेशन के बाद ये प्रॉब्लम आ रही है और रूरल एरिया में रूरल इंडिया रूरल यूपी बिहार में जाएगा तो ये सबसे बड़ा चिंता का विषय है. एंड आई कैन टेल यू दिस नंबर्स इट्स ओनली गॉड कैन नो व्हाट काइंड ऑफ नंबर्स विल रीच बिकॉज जब ये टेस्टिंग रूरल एरियाज में होगी तो जो हमारा अर्बन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर मेडिकल क्रिएट भी हुआ है पीएससी सीएससी लेवल पर अगर आप कोई भी वेंटिलेटर लगा दीजिएगा आनंद तो वहाँ कोई डॉक्टर ही नहीं है उस वेंटिलेटर को जो चला पाएगा. आप कितने भी वेंटिलेटर लगाते रहिए 65,000 के 70,000 खरीद दिए वहाँ पे डॉक्टर है ही नहीं उसको चलाने उसकी डजंट हैव नॉलेज. Now that is the greatest challenge because my only concern is first we can think of big policies, we can think of shift in policies, we can think of beautiful semantics to investments from all over the world. बट जो आदमी आपका घर ही नहीं बचेगा तो उसके बाद फिर उस पॉलिसीज़ का करेंगे क्या आप बैठ के मुझे तो समझ में आता नहीं इस बात के लिए. So my biggest concern is how do we address
नहीं,
this
but
problem
दीपक
into
जी,
the rural areas? who are
कभी ना
poor?
कभी तो ये कोविड जो महामारी है, ये भारत के अन्य इलाकों में इसका फैलना तो निश्चित है। अभी लॉकडाउन की वजह से हमने इसको डिले किया है ताकि थोड़ी बहुत तैयारी हो, लेकिन अगर आप धीरे धीरे खोलेंगे, इफ यू आर गोइंग टू ओपन अप, we have to live with this pandemic. That's the reality. At any given point in time, we have to live with this pandemic, and this disease is less deadlier than a tuberculosis. This disease is less deadlier than cholera and malaria. This disease is less deadlier than some of the other highly communicable diseases which all of India is living with, and the mortality rate is far higher even today with other diseases compared to COVID-19. So it's a reality. We have to live with it, and then we have to think beyond that.
Anand, I fully agree what you are telling. What I'm trying to flag a small issue is that since it is spreading to the rural areas, there have to be a different strategy to handle these kind of problems with this reality. I am not telling it will not happen. Second thing is we have to introspect ourselves. It's not a question of future, it's a question of past. That how we have failed into some kind of our economic model from purely shifting from Gandhian model to the real capitalistic model where concentration, what Mr. Pai was telling, the concentration has taken place near to the urban areas. Now there can be a middle model which I've been advocating all the time, that how do we make Bharat ki chalo gaon ki or India to Bharat, Swaraj at block level, healthy happy India, equitable environment friendly inclusive growth economic policy. देखिए हमारी जितनी भी पॉलिसीज़ बनती हैं उसमें environment is become cleaner when lockdown was there. Again, if we go back, we have to think whether future policy should be environment friendly, equitable friendly, or only GDP growth oriented policy. So we have to make not only on economic policy on the capitalistic model, but social capitalistic model, which Mr. Pai is also advocating, and which we will try and we are doing on the ground. We have collected all the datas. Basically, what is to be done is the agro industries, agro-based industries into the area nearest to the agriculture area. If you see the Reserve Bank of India governor's today's speech, it's a very, very difficult scenario which is going to emerge in the world. If you see just 2-3 datas which I like to quote Anand for everything which I plucked in from that information, you know, our capital goods have been declined by 36%. If you see the imports contracts of imports of capital goods is 57%. If you see the consumption level has fallen by 66%. If you see the global figures, the PMI has dropped down to 5.4. And what is the ray of hope the entire economy with the Reserve Bank of Governor says is only the agriculture, where we have been able to have a growth of 3.4%, and where we have done the procurement of food in Punjab and certain states of Madhya Pradesh and other areas. So if you see the entire ये जो इस तरह का दिख रहा है कि इसमें सारी जो निराशा दिख रही है उसमें आशा के कारण खाली एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर दिख रही है आज की स्थिति में. तो वी हैव टू रियली रीथिंक टू आवरसेल्व्स. दैट इज माय वन स्मॉल इशू, दैट हाउ डू वी डू इट इन अ वेरी फास्ट वे. हाउ डू वी डू. एंड सेकंड थिंग इज माय इमीडिएट क्वेश्चन इज द इमीडिएट रिलीफ. आनंद, अभी क्या है, जो लोग माइग्रेटरी लेबर्स जा रहे हैं उनको रास्ते में बहुत कठिनाइयाँ हैं. And at this stage, my folded hands, I will tell to my all people, we all are united. The politics can take place later on, somewhere when the elections will come. At this stage, we should all join hands together. That how can we help these poor people?
I'll tell you what.
I am in tears at least, you know. After
I understand, sir. I understand. I'll tell you what. Just like this process has started, this process started about 25-30 days ago, where people decided they want to go back home. Now, in the next 15-20 days, and I'm going to bring in Dr. Bindra there. Dr. Bindra, in the next 15-20 days, the process will stop, and then again they will start thinking about moving back to areas where they start earning livelihood because we started opening up. My point overall is that what do we stand for as a country is something where we have to define ourselves as a brand. And from there, everything flows. How do we define ourselves to the world? How do we define to ourselves? Because everything that we make going forward, everything that we engage in going forward, be it a service, be it a product, be it whatever be the offering, even if it is agriculture or whichever sector, even if it is MSMEs, what do we stand for? And can that be defined? Because we know China Mal, what does it make? What impression it gives you in your head? We know if it is made in Germany, made in Japan, what impression you have in your head, and that is the image that you have of the nation also, that product represents. What should we represent? What should the products made in Bharat, made by us, represent? What should the services that we offer represent?
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. What do we stand for? What should you be known for? That builds your brand identity. Now to your question, I'd like to give you a data. By congratulating the government of India in ease of doing business, from out of 190 countries, we have reached to 77th rank and recently 63rd rank. But the challenge in your question that what do you stand for, what should you be known for, what's the brand identity of Bharat India, ease of starting business, we are very poor. Ease of starting business, we're at 136th rank. And if you don't improve this, now I'll give you a beautiful understanding. In New Delhi, if you want to start a restaurant, out of 26 licenses, one of the license would need 45 documents from police. लेकिन अगर आपको बंदूक खरीदना है, if you want to buy a gun, उसमें खाली 19 डॉक्यूमेंट लगता है. रेस्टोरेंट खोलने में 45 डॉक्यूमेंट लगता है. So ease of doing business is improving, but ease of starting business is a major problem. Then MSME का formalization is not happening. The formal registration के लिए not enough initiatives have been taken. So 6.5 crore अगर MSMEs, those business owners are there who are registered MSMEs, 6.5 से 7 crore there are other business owners who are not registered and doing business completely in cash. Though the government is taking initiative, but because of this the tax का भी चोरी हो रहा है, in crisis में we cannot help them, उसके कारण ultimately challenges बढ़ रहे हैं. Then to support the MSME of doing ease of doing business and ease of starting business, the MSMEs, their payments get stuck with the larger organizations. Government started MSME Samadhan monitoring portal. Please try and understand Samadhan monitoring portal का मतलब है अगर किसी छोटे व्यापारी का पैसा फंस जाएगा then they will help. But do you know that there are 41,000 applications are filed, but out of which only 3,000 applications are settled, less than 10%. So MSME Samadhan portal में किसी छोटे व्यापारी का if his money gets stuck, the processes are there, the policies are there, but he doesn't get benefit. Amount involved is 11,000 crore, but amount settled is less than 500 crores. Another challenge, what do you stand for, what should you be known for is your question, Mr. Anand, lack of skilled labor. Now, ELDP, which is called Entrepreneurship Skill Development Program, and NHDC is spending a lot of money, but if you look at China, why do we compare our labor with Bangladesh? Now, with the geopolitical advantage that we should get coming from US, but the business is shifting to Bangladesh and Vietnam, China की labor को अगर आप देखोगे, हम लोग यहाँ पे एक मोबाइल बनाते हैं, वो 4 बनाते हैं. The survey says they are 4 times more efficient. It's not about costly, it's about efficiency. Skill development के लिए government is spending 3,000 crore budget allocate किया super economic power. But the actual thing of execution should happen because अब देखिए दूसरा challenge क्या है? Low production capacity. If you look at China, why the businesses are not easily coming to India? Because of the poor infrastructure. Industrial network clustering is not happening. You go to China and for their clothing, furniture, electronics, mobile handset, everything, they've got a dedicated city to it. There is a industrial network clustering which is happening. Of course, Mr. Gadkari has been making a lot of roads because of which the industrial corridors will begin, but it is still very far. You're talking about self-reliance. Now, self-reliance का मतलब ये नहीं है कि just that you're reducing your dependence of import from China. You also need renewed effort to attract more foreign direct investment, so that you can bring in the firms and get them located to India. But biggest challenge is absence of adequate and timely banking and finance. Please try and understand, Mr. Anand, the government has started a scheme called 59-minute में loan. 1 घंटे में loan मिलेगा. But do you know that 1 घंटे में loan approve होता है, disburse नहीं होता है. Now, see, try and understand, 50,000 loan proposals got approved, but out of which only 27,000 got sanctioned. Around 50% loans are getting disbursed. So approval is easy, but disbursal is not happening. And you know, the problem is that MSMEs, their NPA is only around 2%. Only 2% MSMEs are defaulting, whereas large corporates are defaulting at 18.75%. But they get the loan easily, MSME is not getting the loan easily. The current 3 lakh crore का जो पैकेज बनाया है MSME के लिए, उसमें भी it is only about loans. The government has actually saved their cash outflow and made it easy to get the loans. But the problem is immediate benefit नहीं मिल रहा है. आज 12 करोड़ लोग लॉकडाउन में अपना नौकरी खो चुके हैं. 3 लाख करोड़ का पैकेज दिया, उसमें 4 करोड़ एम्प्लॉय अपने घर जा रहे हैं, मतलब लेबर अपने घर जा रहे हैं. So this 3 lakh crore will only help. But if you can immediately help in a very small thing कि आज आपने टैक्स तो इंटरेस्ट वेवर नहीं दिया, इनकम टैक्स का वेवर नहीं दिया, GST का waiver नहीं दिया. See, my company is badabusiness.com. We are helping the businesses and entrepreneurs grow their business. बट फंडामेंटली अगर नीचे से उनको इमीडिएट कैश इनफ्लो नहीं मिलेगा, क्योंकि लोन तो डिसबर्सल होता नहीं है उनको. आज 6.5 करोड़ MSME जब ट्राई करते हैं टू गेट द लोन्स, अकॉर्डिंग टू बैंकर्स, आज गवर्नमेंट हैज आल्सो सेड दैट वी विल वेरीफाई द केसेस if they will default. So though the government has given they have enforced a credit guarantee, which is a good thing, but the disbursal is not happening because banks ki or NBFCs ki balance sheet kharab hai, and they are feeling that if the government is later on going to verify the cases and the government will not back me up, then there's another challenge. So to immediate cash flow ka aapko support chahiye, so that these, because MSMEs, unka salary, their rent, their other expenses are going on, they are not coming down.
I understand all of that. I understand all of that, Dr. Bindra. I understand this कि कहीं ना कहीं implementation में bottlenecks है. But why are these bottlenecks happening? These bottlenecks are happening because are we inherently dishonest people, or are we inherently not trustworthy? Are we inherently, what are we inherently as a nation is a question which we need to answer ourselves, because this is individual. That person who's sitting at the bank manager, why is he worried that he will default and that he will be questioned tomorrow? Why is he not confident that no, the loan that I'm going to disburse is not going to become an NPA or a default? Why is the person who's applying for loan not able to bring in the confidence that this is a solid blueprint and I'm here to do business because I want to do? Is there something missing within us? Mr. Sodhi, let me ask you this. Do you get this feeling on the ground that people are only trying to make money of each other, not do something constructive together as a nation, as a country? Because that's what turned around Japan. That's what turned around other nations when they started taking pride in every single output of theirs, because they said it is going to reflect on my country. I'm asking a question at a very basic level, because if we are able to correct this sociologically, Sodhi Sahab, a lot of our issues will change. A lot of our issues will start getting addressed.
Anandji, I think I don't agree that Indians or any human being is inherently dishonest. Everybody is honest, but what we feel is when together, because of not getting the very conducive environment or policy on long-term basis, we don't feel confident about what is happening. And that is why in the beginning I said that what is required is, like China, like Japan, like Europe, each Indians have to see that we are better than them. And then only we can do it. That is what Honorable Prime Minister tried to tell. And definitely, correct. I mean, and just very shortly, I like to comment on Shri Mohandas Pai ji, that no doubt he said that what is the required labor-intensive industry in the urban India. But sir, today 68% is rural. Millions of people are migrating to the rural India. Firstly, you have to see next 10 years, 20 years, people won't shift overnight. What is required is efficiency in agriculture, like Mr. Deepak Singh. That is the hope. I tell you, our FM announced that around 15,000 crore for dairy infrastructure. Let me tell you, that will create 30 lakhs jobs for rural families. And let me tell you, dairy or animal husbandry, India is what largest and fastest growing market. Market is there. And the way incomes are increased, people are going to spend more on food, especially protein and fat. So what we have to see, we become efficient, and for efficiency, productivity needs will be improved, and that will provide rural employment. You see, Indian problem will not be solved if we provide only urban India, and all our resources and policies are centered only urban India. Already, you see, data shows.
No, it's not about urban rural, sir. I'll tell you what. अभी ये लोग सब जो गांव वापस जा रहे हैं, जो अपने घर वापस जा रहे हैं. Why can't, if are you trying to say, Mr. Mohandas Pai, that if we don't put our head to it, not just state, not just the center, but state, every district, if they are still not, right now they have enough powers to ensure that jo ghar gaya, they get enough to do there, something or the other, maybe not their core profession or what they were doing. Jo apna gaon chhod ke, the person who first came to the city looking for livelihood, if that person is going back and he finds livelihood there, why will that person re-migrate? That person will stay.
Absolutely.
Can we not put our heads to it, and can we not do that? Isn't there where
Yes,
we have
we-
to start in terms of Swabhiman itself? This whole thing of self-reliance has to start from there, with a
Anand,
certain
let
sense
me-
of honesty and purpose. Not about
Anand,
fleecing, because why are banks nervous? I'm sorry, I'm just coming to you, sir. Why are banks nervous today? Because we ran NPAs which were up to 12 lakh crores, which had to be apportioned and absorbed over a period of time. Those NPAs came over a period of time, and it is us who created it as a people,
Anand,
who
the
looted
basic
that money and
problem
ran away,
is-
who cheated.
Anand, basic problem is the state, the government is built on the colonial model, where the people in government think they're the rulers and we are all the slaves. So if you go to the government, you must stand outside the office. So that they will not call you inside. They'll make you wait. They'll treat you shabbily. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Now, if I hire a Mercedes-Benz, put a suit, and go to the government, the policeman will salute me, open the door. He won't even ask me who I am. I can walk in straight without security. But if I go in a kurta, in a slipper, and stand there, he'll ask me 100 questions who you are. So there is no respect for individuals. There is no respect for citizens. It is just the power structure that is there, and that must be dismantled, where we must respect every citizen and treat them like a taxpayer. Till Modi came, no government told us we are taxpayers. We are not being treated with respect. It's a colonial state. You go to North Block, I am big. Everybody treats you like dirt. Stand outside the door. Go to the income tax office, stand outside the door morning to evening. Go to the courts, you have to stand outside till your case is called. Cases are never called. Everywhere the state has been created in a manner with a danda to beat people, not to respect them, not to believe, like Gandhiji said, that these are public servants. These are not public servants, they are public rulers. I think this arrogance of power is what is destroying India, and that has to change. That will take time, but required political leaders will make it happen. And for that, we have to get back our economic freedom. We must find out why should we go to government for anything. The government, the bureaucrats create rules where they make you come there and cringe before you. Why should you do that? Now you must remove all the regulations where you don't have to go to government. Now that is one. Now the second thing is, yes, when migrants go back, the state governments have to come out with job schemes. That Marega scheme is one such scheme. There could be other schemes like, giving them money to set up some small trade shops. Yogi Adityanath is setting up banking correspondents, some 10 lakh banking correspondents. Yes, there are many, many areas that can be done. And next, we can also make sure that food processing takes place locally. So many small things can be done, but that requires organization. And that organization has been done in the villages. Look at what
Yes.
China did. 1978, China opened up. What did the Chinese do? The first thing they told the farmers, you can grow what you want, sell what you want at whatever price. We have done it now. The farmers will get whatever price they want. They sold, they created a surpluser, they set up small industries and created cottage industries, and they came up. Now, unless the farmer gets the price that he has to get, instead of being at the mercy of the middleman, he will never have a surplus. If he never has a surplus, he'll depend on subsidy forever. So right now, we must give the farmers the market price and ensure it is done. Connect the farmers to the market. That's why I said agri-tech companies have to come. In Bangalore, there's a small agri-tech company called Daily Ninja, which buys 1,000 tons of fruits and vegetables every single day. And farmers
Yes.
get 20% more cash immediately in the unit. So we have to create those mechanisms. So we
Yes.
have created very corrupt institution. We must have greater economic liberalization, greater freedom, do away with the Inspector Raj, and make sure people can start businesses. And then, why the banks don't give money to smaller people? Because the bank's incentive structure is not there to give money to smaller people. The incentive structure is based upon the number of
Right.
total quantum of money that you give, not on the number of loans that you give. If you change it to the number of loans that you give, it will change. For example, the small finance companies and mutual finance companies which are there, where women get together and give money, they all pay back. They all pay back. They're honest people. The Indian is an
Right.
honest person. We are not crooks. Nobody is a crook. Out of 100
Right.
people, 95 very honest, straight people. 4% may go this way, that way. 1% are crooks, same as any country. Now, who have they done the NPS? The top 10
Correct.
NPS are 5 lakh crores. It is the big suit wallahs who have come with the Mercedes-Benz,
Yes.
who have stolen the money and gone away. It is not the small man who has taken any money. The small man pays it back. So now we have to make sure
Yes.
that our government is not captured by these crooks, that the government responds to citizens. We have to change the model of governance. That's going to take a long time. That's not going to happen. Right now, for all the migrants going back,
Yeah.
the government has to come out with wage schemes, with smaller schemes. There has to be financing, and like the loan guarantee, they must make sure that money flows
Right.
into those areas where people will have credit. If I get 7,000-8,000 in the village, I'm very happy compared to getting
Right.
15,000 and living in a damn slum in Mumbai on the streets. right?
Exactly.
So we have to create the jobs
Exactly,
there.
exactly. So I'm just saying, let's look at what we are seeing as a crisis of our Shramik's going
Last
back,
point.
and,
See,
and
the
at
way
least
the-
3 to 4 crores of people going back. Yes, Mr. Pai. So,
Anand,
final point. I am
Anand.
way over time, but yes, go ahead and
Yeah.
complete, sir.
Anand, where is the problem? The problem is in Bihar, UP, Madhya Pradesh, West Bengal, which are labor surplus. Come to Tamil Nadu, come to Karnataka, come to Kerala, come to Telangana, come to Andhra. We don't have people, going away from these places. The per capita income of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Telangana, Gujarat, and Maharashtra is 2,50,000 rupees. Per capita income of Bihar is 49,000 rupees. UP is 69,000 rupees. Where is the failure? The failure is in North India because they've been badly governed. SP and all those caste-based parties are ruined it. Now we need to improve that governance. We have to put money there. The government of India has to build infrastructure. Unless UP, BR come up, there's no future for this
Right.
country. So we have to change the model of development, and
Very-
we have to make sure the people there get the things that they get. Modi has done so much. No prime minister has helped
Is
the
there
poor
a story
in 5
there?
years
Is there
as
a
much as
story
Modi
there
has.
via the Jal Shakti mission and this building of reservoirs and ponds so that we have that because the government has got this entire goal of
Anand,
Har Ghar Jal, Har Ghar
Anand,
Nal,
we have been doing
and
it in the
also
south
has
for the last 10
the
years.
entire thing about trying to become a water surplus nation in terms of groundwater capability. And
Yeah,
is that the
yeah.
first phase where we are seeing that those who are going back will be employed? Building up of rural infrastructure, this is perhaps the best time because all the mistries are back in
Yeah.
their villages. And if we are looking at these markets and these regions where infrastructure development is important and critical, especially in those corridors, business corridors where roads are there, now Bijli is there, we just need to build the supply chain. And if this is the opportunity, perhaps this is what we are seeing. We just need to rush in and ensure that this happens, along with an overall sense of A, self-belief, B, confidence of what and understanding of what we stand for as a nation, that you can trust us. So this trust and this belief has to come together as an emotion and has to be unilaterally the overarching bind, swabhiman for everyone. Across what we do, every single policy. We will take this forward. I am over time. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Great pearls of wisdom. I think single most important aspect is we need to change the way. We need to shun the days of colonial Raj. We need to drop the red tape and open up and allow every single Indian the same amount of respect, because everyone is going to contribute towards building this nation forward from here. How we take it forward is upon us. We, hum par nirbhar hai, Bharat ka atmanirbhar hona. Very clearly. We're going to take a very, very short break. Something very special.